Harrison Ford has spent decades playing tough, serious, larger-than-life characters. But put him next to Ryan Gosling, or really, in front of any camera, and that tough guy exterior cracks almost instantly. This is a look at why nobody can rattle celebrities quite like Harrison Ford does. It starts with a joint interview alongside Ryan Gosling, promoting Blade Runner 2049. Within seconds, Harrison throws both Ryan and the interviewer completely off balance with a string of dry, nonsensical answers about the film's tone, calling it bleak and dystopian one moment, then cheerfully telling everyone to cheer up the next. The mood swings so fast that Ryan and the host end up laughing along, unsure whether he's joking or not. When asked about getting the call to return for the sequel, Harrison doesn't offer some heartfelt reflection. He shrugs it off with a flat, "So what?" then jokes that when producers ask if he's interested in a project, his answer is always some version of, "Show me the money." The interviewer brings up that Ryan Gosling was only 2 years old when the original Blade Runner hit theaters, and asks what Ryan actually remembers about seeing it. Harrison jumps in before Ryan can answer, cracking that he doesn't need Ryan to say anything. He can already guess it wasn't complimentary. Then comes the classic hypothetical. Who would win in a fight, Rick Deckard or Han Solo? Harrison doesn't hesitate. He says he'd win either way, because he's the one getting paid to play both of them. One of the funniest recurring bits is that Harrison genuinely cannot remember Ryan Gosling's name. He fumbles through it live on camera, calling him Ryan. Ryan, it's Ryan, like he's working to retrieve the name from memory in real time. It happens more than once in the same interview. At one point he even claims he thought Ryan's name was Brian all along, and when asked how often he calls him that, Ryan replies that the better question is when he doesn't. Harrison eventually combines the mix-up into a nickname, Brian Gosling, much to everyone's amusement. Behind the scenes of Blade Runner 2049, the two swap stories about a fight scene that didn't go as scripted. Ryan brings up that Harrison actually punched him during a scene that wasn't supposed to involve real contact. Harrison's excuse: he simply misread the script. And depending on which retelling you catch, the story grows a little each time. In one version, he shows up to Ryan's trailer with a bottle of scotch, offers him a drink, gets turned down because Ryan's busy, and cheerfully takes the whole bottle back to his own trailer instead. Even music follows him everywhere. At a tribute event for composer John Williams, Harrison is walked out to the Indiana Jones theme and jokes on stage that he can never escape that music no matter where he goes. The teasing goes both ways. In one clip, someone asks Ryan Gosling what it was like meeting this guy, Harrison, and Ryan deadpans that he's never actually met him, despite having just done an entire film together. There's also a genuinely sweet moment tucked in among the jokes. Ryan describes what makes Harrison such a skilled actor: the ability to take a role seriously without taking himself too seriously, walking that line so smoothly that people forget it's even a line at all. Naturally, Harrison undercuts the sincerity immediately, joking that he thinks Ryan's compliment is great, and matching it with an equally sarcastic one back. Later, when asked in a separate interview whether he's ever had a certain kind of moment while listening to soundtracks from his own films, Harrison answers bluntly and without embarrassment, of course he has. When the same question gets redirected to Ryan, he shuts it down immediately with a firm no. When pushed for spoilers about upcoming projects, Harrison refuses outright, then jokingly threatens to tickle the answer out of the person if they push further. He's also known for putting interviewers on the spot. One journalist recalls that the last time she interviewed him, he made her sing on camera, and made it clear it wouldn't be happening again this time around, despite her offering to hum a tune instead. The Conan O'Brien appearance is its own chaos. Harrison opens by pretending to be confused about whether the two are even friends, joking that Conan made zero effort to stay in touch and then just showed up expecting friendship regardless. There's a classic bit with Jimmy Fallon where Harrison denies being Canadian, and when Jimmy explains he only asked because there are so many Canadian comedians, Harrison flips it, joking that a lot of people mistakenly think Jimmy himself must be one. When actress Margot Robbie tells him that her favorite of his movies is actually a lesser-known one, 6 Days, 7 Nights, instead of taking it as the compliment it is, Harrison jokes that the movie is still technically available somewhere, and that he happens to have a stack of DVDs in his car if she wants one. On David Letterman's show, Harrison tells a long joke about a grocery store worker being asked repeatedly for broccoli, escalating into a spelling gag before landing on the simple punchline: there just isn't any broccoli. He also has a habit of turning practical Indiana Jones stunt stories into comedy. He recalls a stunt performer who trained for 3 months for a scene that only took 3 days to shoot, and jokes that the man made sure to milk every second of his one big moment once the cameras rolled, including drawing out his character's death for a solid 3 minutes. Asked how he mentally prepares to do something as visually ridiculous as play a giant red-skinned superhero, Harrison doesn't pretend it's about artistic commitment. He says plainly that the paycheck is what quiets any self-consciousness. It's not magic, he says, it's simply commerce. In another appearance, when a mishap involving a door comes up, Harrison is quick to redirect blame toward director J.J. Abrams instead of taking responsibility himself. He's also unafraid of physical bits for a laugh, including a Tonight Show segment where he agrees to pierce Jimmy Fallon's ear on air, teasing him the entire time about which side he wants it on and whether it's going to hurt. No matter the setting, someone always brings up Star Wars, and Harrison leans into the association rather than avoiding it, tossing out lines that reference Han Solo without missing a beat. When Ryan Gosling points out that Harrison once said, unprompted, that becoming rich and famous was basically his life's plan, Harrison confirms it instantly and without a hint of irony. Asked whether the physical demands of decades of action films have taken a toll on his body, he brushes the question off completely, reminding the interviewer that stunt performers do the actual stunts, not him. When someone jokingly asks if his real goal in life is to reboot every major franchise he's ever been part of, Harrison confirms that yes, that is very much the plan. People often bring up his reputation for being grumpy in interviews, and Harrison's response is simply to act offended by the accusation, which, of course, only reinforces the joke. And true to form, when pressed about why a certain character isn't featured on a movie poster, Harrison refuses to explain, insisting there's a very good reason for the omission, one he simply won't share. Across every interview, red carpet, and late-night couch, the pattern is the same. Harrison Ford treats fame, sincerity, and even his own legendary status as material for a joke, and somehow makes it land every single time. Harrison Ford has spent decades playing tough, serious, larger-than-life characters. But put a camera in front of him and that tough guy exterior cracks almost instantly. Here's why nobody rattles celebrities quite like he does. In a joint interview with Ryan Gosling for Blade Runner 2049, Harrison throws everyone off within seconds, calling the film bleak and dystopian one moment, then cheerfully telling the room to cheer up the next. Asked how he felt getting the call to return for the sequel, he doesn't offer any heartfelt reflection. Just a flat, "so what?" followed by his usual line about producers needing to show him the money. One running joke: Harrison genuinely can't remember Ryan Gosling's name. He fumbles through it live on camera more than once, insists he thought it was actually Brian, and eventually combines the mix-up into a new nickname, Brian Gosling, to everyone's amusement. Behind the scenes of that same film, Ryan brings up a fight scene where Harrison actually punched him by mistake. Harrison's excuse is simple: he misread the script. And depending on the retelling, the story grows. In one version he shows up to Ryan's trailer with a bottle of scotch, offers him a drink, gets turned down, and just takes the bottle back to his own trailer. Even music follows him around. At a tribute for composer John Williams, he's walked out to the Indiana Jones theme and jokes on stage that he can never escape that music. There's a genuinely sweet moment too. Ryan describes what makes Harrison such a skilled actor: taking a role seriously without taking himself too seriously. Harrison, naturally, undercuts the sincerity immediately with a sarcastic compliment right back. Asked about listening to soundtracks from his own films in a certain private moment, Harrison answers bluntly and without embarrassment. When the same question goes to Ryan, he shuts it down fast. On Conan O'Brien's show, Harrison opens by pretending to be confused about whether the two are even friends, joking that Conan made zero effort and just showed up expecting friendship anyway. With Jimmy Fallon, he denies being Canadian, then flips the joke back on Jimmy for even asking. When Margot Robbie tells him her favorite of his films is the lesser-known 6 Days, 7 Nights, he jokes that he's got a stack of DVDs in his car if she wants one. On David Letterman's show, he tells a long joke about a grocery store worker fielding endless questions about broccoli, escalating into a spelling gag before landing the simple punchline: there just isn't any broccoli. He also turns Indiana Jones stunt stories into comedy, recalling a stunt performer who trained for 3 months for a scene that took 3 days to shoot, and jokes the guy milked every second of his one big moment, dragging out his character's death for a solid 3 minutes. Asked how he mentally handles playing something as visually ridiculous as a giant red superhero, Harrison doesn't pretend it's about artistic commitment. He says the paycheck quiets any self-consciousness. Not magic, he says. Commerce. When a mishap involving a door comes up in another interview, he's quick to blame director J.J. Abrams instead of himself. And on The Tonight Show, he actually agrees to pierce Jimmy Fallon's ear on air, teasing him the whole time about which side he wants and whether it'll hurt. Star Wars references follow him everywhere, and rather than avoid them, he leans in every time. When Ryan Gosling points out that Harrison once openly said his life's plan was to get rich and famous, Harrison confirms it instantly, no irony at all. Asked if decades of action films have taken a physical toll on him, he brushes it off. Stunt performers do the actual stunts, not him. Asked if his real goal is to reboot every major franchise he's touched, he confirms that yes, absolutely, that's the plan. People often call him grumpy in interviews, and his response is simply mock offense, which only proves the point. And when pressed about why a certain character is missing from a movie poster, he refuses to explain, insisting there's a very good reason he just won't share. Across every interview and red carpet, the pattern holds. Harrison Ford treats fame, sincerity, and his own legendary status as material for a joke, and somehow makes it land every time.